Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
Hello again, and welcome to another episode of A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
What's up?
Thanks so much for tuning in. And first of all, Jonathan, I'd like to apologize for interrupting so much last week. I was caffeinated and full of beans, and I definitely cut you off a fair few times.
That's okay.
And I just wanted to say...
It's a difficult, caffeination aside, I think it's quite a difficult format to have a conversation in when there's a slight delay. And obviously, we get pretty excited when we're having interesting discussions. So that's okay. I accept your apology and counter with a warning that if you do it again this week, I'm going to go ballistic.
Okay.
What's that red dot? What's that red
time.
dot? What's that blue dot on your jumper? Or is that a light flare from the...
Yeah,
it's a lens
piece
flare.
of light, a lens flare, yeah, from the camera. How you doing? Considering last week you were in a bit of shitty music mode, if anyone tuned in, those that tuned in, thanks to all those people that reached out as well, and have been talking to us a little bit about the podcast and saying that your post, particularly on Instagram during the week, Jonathan, some people found helpful on your Instagram story.
I'm glad. It was better this week. I wrote something that I liked on Saturday, and I sent you a little video, and you liked it. So I think that was just a byproduct of getting out of my own way a bit, and not thinking about. We spoke about last week about going into the studio with too much intention, or going into creativity with too much intention, and I didn't, and I just explored, and I found that riff, or I found that song just through exploration and saying yes and taking it one step at a time rather than thinking about it too big picture.
Awesome.
And it's funny when you think about it, when you don't think about it too big picture, you actually write faster. Like there's this idea that if you think in the big picture, like I want to do this or I want it to go there, it's going to take, like you think that'll get you there faster, but actually the fastest way to get to not a finished product, but like a presentable product is just to follow instincts and only see one step ahead, and then you realize, oh, whoa, I've taken 60 steps and it's been 2 hours and now I'm here and I've got something that's getting more interesting. Sorry, someone's just at my door.
I'll just talk amongst myself. Actually, Elizabeth Gilbert said something recently on a podcast with Tim Ferriss, but I won't say it because Jonathan won't hear it. So this will just be some dead air. And he's back.
Sorry about that. That was for the flat above me.
Oh, nice. Elizabeth Gilbert recently spoke about creativity as a path to, I suppose, like presence, like really getting into the present. She's speaking on a recent podcast, bless you, recent podcast with Tim Ferriss. And she says that, like, when we're young, everyone can remember drawing and just disappearing into the nothingness of time when they're a kid, or playing with blocks or doing something creative. And as we get older, we lose that, whether it's through taste or through like being told that we're not good or very good, or thinking we're not very good or something like that. And so we start to replace it with like shortcuts on how to get to that high almost, whether it's spending money, drinking, drugs, sex, all sorts of things. But as adults, if we can refine that creative thing, and we don't have to be very good, you just doing it, the act of doing it can make you very present. And I think we're lucky in that we create music and things like that. But even within our creative process, we can still lose our minds in it. And it sounds like you just found that zone. Basically, it's the zone. Yeah, that's really good.
Totally. And I think, it's like having, I think it was a little win that I hadn't had in a while. And you get reminded, you're like, oh, no, wait, like, this is what winning feels like. And I can do it. And I just got to get back to this place.
Yeah. Can I ask what that song's called, Jonathan? Since you're pensioned for funny names in tunes, still got to go on. What's it called?
Honestly, it's not. It doesn't have a name. It's
bullshit. You're lying.
Slide. It's called Slide.
Why is it called Slide?
Because I was gonna put
a sample from Jerry O'Connell's Sliders in it.
No, I was gonna put. I've always wanted to use the sample in Fight Club when he's going to his happy place, or like the ice cave.
Yeah.
And then the penguin says like, slide. I really want to use that in a song. And I was thinking about putting that sample in the song. So I just named it Slide.
Okay.
Working title.
I think it's cool that's a great way to start a thing or a mentality to go into the thing. And if that creative spark just like starts the engine, so to speak, and it just keeps ticking over, I think that can be really helpful. And you particularly like doing that kind of thing. I've named songs things with an intention as well before, and it's like why did I even call it that? Or I've just come up with a cool word and I've been like, that's what this song is called.
Yeah. I just really wanted to, because I guess it's a bit drum and bassy, this song. It's more drum and bassy than previous demos that I've written. Drum and bassy is a pretty bad way to describe a song, but
try another word then.
So a better word than drum and bassy. I guess electronic. It's less organic than I guess. I think some of the last demos I've sent over have been more organic, and this is a bit more robotic, if you will. And I didn't want to give it a name. If a song, you can give a song a name, and it can already be put into a category. Like if I called this song robotic, or if I called this song.
It's funny because some people would just like, it's just a name, man. Some people call their tunes like numbers until the end.
Yeah.
But for us, it starts becoming, as soon as you name something, it starts becoming that thing.
Yeah, because we look at the title and get inspired to write the song via the title. Even if it's simple as combat being called combat, and it's got aggression and it's kind of a bit like choppy and maybe physical interactions and like fighting, that then the name impacts creative decisions in the song. Maybe the mix needs to be more aggressive, or maybe this needs to be, this groove needs to feel more like someone's getting a karate chop or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting way of thinking. I think I called it combat because I just think combat's it's an aggressive word. It kind of suited the song. I think originally that was called Home Computer.
Was it?
Working title for Home
was that the turning on your
home computer? Yeah, because if you listen to that, it's got lots of like electronic, like kind of old school fax machine sounds and machine sounds at the start. It was actually, the working title was VHS. The working title is VHS. If I can sidestep from this highly interesting topic, I want to ask you how your Monday was.
Well, my Monday's just halfway through.
How is it? How are your Mondays?
My Mondays, Last night I had an edible gummy bear and watched Godzilla.
How was your edible?
It was pretty strong. Um, yeah, it was pretty strong, but it was. It's funny with edibles. I mean, I haven't had an edible for a very long time, and I don't really smoke marijuana.
This is an edible marijuana.
Yeah, this is an edible marijuana. And I was like 25 minutes into Godzilla, and then I got up and I went and started making dinner. And I was suddenly hit by a sense of like, oh my God, I am so high right now. and I'd kind of forgotten that the feeling. And I don't know if anyone else gets this, but sometimes when I'm high on marijuana, it can be very loud in terms of like, it's the feeling of being high can be very intense in terms like this. You know how sometimes silence can be deafening because silence is so loud?
Yeah, it's almost like you hear the like when you turn up the a tape or something, you turn the volume all the way to top, you hear the noise floor. You can hear the noise floor in life, and you're like, oh man, like you hear a door creaking and it's like, turn it down.
The noise floor of my life is so loud. But it was fun. And then I made some food and sat back down and watched Godzilla. And over the next 3 hours, realized how loud my TV was. For the first time, I plugged a HDMI cord into the TV in the living room and watched it there, which I probably should have done 3 months ago. But like it was so loud, and I kept turning it down over the next 3 hours. I just turned it down. I turned it down and turned it down, and realized I had the volume at the beginning on 50, and then ended up on 15, and it was still fairly loud. And I was like, "Fuck me! It must have been so loud for my neighbors."
What is he doing in there? And like you banging around the kitchen as well, like ah.
Yeah, but yeah. So I did that, and then went to bed and did some writing, and then I actually started writing another demo at about 1:30.
Nice.
Because I heard a song that inspired a melody in my head. So I wrote that for like an hour and a half. So my Monday started about 1.5 hours ago.
Oh, very nice.
Because I just slept. What I'm trying to do is, rather than waking up, if I'm having a late night, I'll just get the sleep
Yeah, good.
rather than trying to wake up still at 7:30. So I'd let myself have a sleep in. So yeah, that's what has impacted my Monday.
Do you feel Monday has a feeling? Do you think Monday has a you know how the thing from Office Space is, looks like somebody's got a case of the Mondays. Do you feel like you have a case of the Mondays sometimes?
I used to, but now I feel Monday is a day of hopefulness. I've got like hope for Monday.
Ooh.
I'm not a massive Wednesday fan.
Ooh, okay.
Like, because Monday's like, okay, the weekend's done, start of a new week. What could happen this week? I find doing something enjoyable on a Monday to be very intrinsically important to enjoying the rest of the week. Mm-hmm. So maybe if that's having like a fun meal at night, or going to have a beer with your friend, or going to the movies, or something like that, just a little taste of the weekend, I find makes Monday more bearable.
Interesting.
And sorry, a taste of the weekend might be a wrong word, because it could just be as simple as reading a book for half an hour. It doesn't have to be like a
do something for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I ask you is because I for a long time I've definitely had, like, Mondays have had different kinds of feelings for me, and I've had I remember an ex-girlfriend, an ex-partner of mine saying, "You always seem to get moody on like a Monday." And so I'd kind of started running through this checklist in my head, like, why would I be like that? Like, am I hungover still and tired? Did I get enough sleep? Did I drink too much on the weekend? Did I get enough work done? Do I feel some sort of satisfying closure? Do I feel like my week is ready to start? Do I have to work? Do I feel like my time is not my own? A few things like that. And they're the things that tend to make me feel like I got a case of the Mondays. Like it's a little bit of a little bit of almost an unhappy feeling, like a little bit like, I don't, have I done enough? Am I enough? All these kinds of things. And I think that tends to be the only day of the week that I'll feel that. And it hits particularly when I am, hungover. I spent most of yesterday just milling around the house. I left the house to go and watch the sunset on my own. And that was really nice.
That's beautiful.
And then pulled up, stood on top of the car and took my pants off and watched the sunset.
Did you masturbate into the coastline?
Yeah, into the limestone.
Awesome.
No, I did none of those things, but I did.
Soak it up.
How's this for salty? Sorry, that's offensive. I did, however, go for a 30-minute drive just down the coastline. It was quite a nice long sunset, and I just appreciate it. And we just hung out for a bit on my own because I hadn't left the house all day, and since I got home in the morning. And I stayed at my mate's house. And I was hungover on that drive, and it was raining, and I was like, it's the perfect time to stay in and watch The Mummy and, all that kind of stuff. And then the sun came out in the afternoon, and I was like, I should get out. I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I did. And I went to bed pretty late because we had an extensive chat on the phone just talking about all sorts of things. It was really nice to just catch up and laugh with you. But I woke up this morning, and I was like, oh, I feel pretty good. Went to work and I listened to some kind of heavy podcasts. One of them was the Radio Lab podcast talking about the laws that surround police brutality. It was really interesting. And then I listened to Malcolm Gladwell podcast where he talked about the Protestant versus Catholic rivalries and violence of the 1970s with some comparisons to what's going on in America at the moment. And these things kind of just made me feel like a bit heavy. And I was like, oh, is this, this is compounding my Mondayness. Because I am at work and I am, wondering if I've spent the whole day yesterday doing nothing. I need to get something done. But there is also a satisfaction in doing work for someone else that you kind of get I kickstart my Monday, I'm getting paid, I'm absorbing information, and I'm, getting things done. Because if I was in the studio on a Monday, maybe it wouldn't be so good. It wouldn't be so productive, perhaps. I don't know. But I was just, thought I'd just ask you about Mondays and that kind of thing. Because sometimes I do feel like they have this feeling, and then I'm like, can I transplant that feeling to another day? And then I'm like, no. But then I wonder, can I transplant that feeling away from my Monday altogether? Is there something I can do on a Monday that's gonna can I schedule in something that I do on a Monday? I mean, the podcast is nice to do on a Monday with you. I like that little routine, but I'm wondering, is it just a case of get up 20 minutes earlier, have time to do meditation or yoga, or maybe every Monday I cook myself a special breakfast or make myself a special breakfast or do something interesting. I don't know, just to shake things up. Maybe I should go for a run on Mondays or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Open to suggestions.
You know what, man? You should you should definitely go for a run.
Masturbate in front of a mirror.
You should Easter egg. You should go for a run. You should wake up at especially now it's going into winter, you should wake up at 6:30, barefoot, and run around the park 7 or to 10 times.
That's
and listen
interesting.
to listen to the album just listen to an album, and that's how you start your Monday, because that will completely shape. I mean, I'm not going to say the shit feelings won't come back in, because they did for me, but it definitely helped shape it, because you come home and it's 7:30 and you're like, I've just run 8Ks and listened to a good album.
Mm.
That plus making your bed, you've had a pretty productive first hour and a half. And I think that's a pretty important thing that I'm starting to recognize, that if I have a productive first, if I don't have a productive first hour and a half, I can feel like there are some feelings in me that go like, well, the whole day's fucked now. Not that I entertain them that much, but there's that feeling of like, well, that's why I mean exercising is so important first thing.
Yeah, I like my yoga and drink my water and I do some interaction with mum and dad and I get ready. I have also been taking advantage of 10 extra minutes in the morning to do like kind of a shortened version of the morning pages concept, which is like when you wake up, the first thing you do is write in a journal and just like write almost nonsensically. Like you can just write, just get it out, because I'm finding that writing is really helping me clear my head. And I said to you yesterday that like after 2.5 months of journaling, I'm finding some real benefits in it. I've always wanted to be someone who could write in a journal, like who could draw in a journal. I've been able to draw in notebooks and things like that, but yeah, to write regularly has been something that I've wanted to do, and I thought it would help me. And yeah, it really has. It's like it helps clears your head, and it's almost like your brain is good for that classic adage of your brain's good for having ideas but not great for holding them, and your brain can feel very congested if you don't get those ideas out. And then they're not great ideas. It's not like I'm writing amazing prose either. Just writing, just spitting it out, can be a nice way to clear the head. And Mondays aren't particularly bad. It's just an interest. It was just something that crossed my mind today. I was like, I wanted to ask Jono how his Mondays are going in London.
Yeah, as I said before, like Mondays are hopeful to me. Tuesday is a continuation of Monday. Wednesday is I honestly think that how I feel about certain days harks back to school. I think that got imprinted on me pretty heavily, to the fact that like I remember my schedule in high school. Wednesdays, it always felt like Wednesdays were just a bit of a shit day. Like it started with the Wednesday that I'm thinking of. I think this was probably in year 10. Was like started with history, and then I had 4 periods in a row with the same teacher, and then ended with maths. It was just like a science heavy day. Whereas Thursday was like I'm pretty sure I had like phys ed science or whatever it was, and then drama, and then English. So it was a bit more of a humanities day, and I feel like that feeling has always impacted how I've felt about days, and probably still does in this way. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, which is kind of weird because I haven't been in school for fucking.
I've wanted to interrupt you like halfway through this and be like, "What are you talking about?"
It's strange.
That is interesting.
But even in primary school, I remember feeling similar ways about days.
I've always,
and it was all
Wednesdays have never been. I don't know, but yeah, I kind of get what you mean. Days have definitely have feelings, and I'm pretty sure there's a Seinfeld clip that could go in here. talking about how the day. I think Kramer's talking about how days have feelings. Yeah, or they're all talking about it. Just sounds like a Seinfeldian thing to talk about. I yeah, it's interesting. It's something that I'm looking at the Monday and how I can change it around because it can impact your day and it can also I get quite thoughtful on a Monday as well. I think as I'm working, as I'm thinking, and
I think it definitely has to be impacted by, drinking on the weekend if that's what you do.
oh yeah, for sure. I know that's always a factor,
If you
but it happens even
didn't,
if I don't sometimes.
okay, if you didn't drink on the weekend, like I think another aspect of a Monday that we haven't really talked about is having an important Sunday.
Yes, and sometimes, man, like I love Sundays.
I love Sundays too, but I like to grip and hold on to my Sunday to the point of like, if I start watching a movie at 7 o'clock, for instance, or you start doing something at 7 and you finish it and it gets to 9 or 9:30, rather than being like, okay, I'm going to read a book, I'm going to have a little cup of tea, I'm going to go to bed. You go, oh, I got time to watch another movie. Or you've got like, I've got time to stay in the studio for longer. Like
Yeah.
you hold on to this, like the idea of the weekend, and then you end up going to bed at 12 o'clock and then you wake up early on Monday. Like I think if you go to bed at fucking 9:30 on a Sunday night, it would improve your Monday. Maybe that's what we should try this week.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm right there with you though. I'm loving the Sunday vibe, especially if you like. Yeah, I have a very soft spot for a nostalgic Sunday. There's a park near my old house I used to love walking around on Sundays, and like that was whether I walked around at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 6:30, like depending on when like sunset was, and then just knowing that you're gonna cook some dinner or watch a movie, just like it's gonna be like. It was penciled in to do nothing, and that wind down into the week was so nice. But I guess I've just got to adjust my template around that. I can still do the same things. I'll just be, let's do it a little differently.
What if you again take a leaf out of the Jonathan Hanson playbook for a happier life and go for a swim on Monday morning at the lagoon?
Yeah, it could be interesting. I've toyed with the idea of I'm liking my getting up early and going to the gym in the morning on. That's the other thing. I do that like 3 days a week. So sometimes getting that little sleep in is nice. Maybe the run on a Monday is good, or maybe I just get up. I just go to bed a little bit earlier and I'll shake things up a little bit more so that I can be more able-bodied on a Monday. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's kind of a bit silly, really. Oh, not silly. It's just
It's an idea you've had.
It's an idea I've had. I enjoyed being social this weekend though. In Perth, the bars just opened up to allow for 100 people, and you have to give them your name just in case anything happens and everything like that. But yeah, waiting for drinks at a bar and then doing some shots and having some laughs outside with people and talking to some strangers and talking to some people I just met and meeting some new people who were really interesting and drinking some delicious wine. It was a really nice way to have the weekend. So I suppose what goes up must come down, and I rode the walrus, so to speak. Do you want to listen to this week's demo, Jonathan?
Sure, let's dive into it.
Yeah, hi, I'd like a plate of big tunes and a serving of piping hot bangers on the side.
Okay, so this is the song that we discussed on the last podcast, and it is called The Light.
It is from 2012. Probably the last time we worked on it was just before that trip to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it, yeah, I suppose it was a song we wrote with, I don't know, this epic dubsteppy thing in mind, this feeling.
I don't even know how we thought this could be. This was like an album song. We referred to this as an album song before we even had the idea of writing an album.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to work out if we would have heard Carl's Shock One's Light Cycles. Did that influence this, or did we write it independently, or was it started independently? And because like I'm looking like everything off Universus started coming out in 2011, like Crucify Me Relapse, Chaos Theory was 2012. So I think I've got to say,
Light Cycles wasn't a single.
It wasn't a single, but
it came out on the album.
So it came out in 2012, but I think we would have heard a version.
No, because Carl was in London.
Okay, so you think this happened independently of Light Cycles?
I think Carl heard a demo of this and wrote Light Cycles 2 weeks before he had to hand the album in. No, I do think we definitely weren't listening to as much of Carl's music back then. That's one thing that I think we have to realize. And I'm pretty sure he wrote Light Cycle. Oh, I want to say he started writing Light Cycles in London, but
Universus didn't come out till 2013.
Yeah.
Either way, we wrote this song,
but I think it's more Nero-y and more Pink Floyd.
Yeah, it is definitely, Nero.
But there's definitely, basically, we probably wanted it to achieve the same kind of thing that Light Cycles, the function of Light Cycles on Carl's album. That's what we were looking for without having an album and without playing any dubstep. Like I think we went through a stage of playing 3 dubstep songs.
Yeah, we didn't. We played a few dubstep songs if we played at a dubstep show.
And this song, like we played this song in a set. So we finished a set.
I don't think we finished it. I think we just played it smack bang in the middle of it. And to be honest, when you hear this song, well, I just remember being like, this is going to be such a sick vibe. And the club just kind of like, people were dancing, but we played it and we're like, I remember looking at you after about 2.5 minutes being like, we should mix out of it. And you're just like, stick with it, man. Let's play it. Because you hear it's a long song. And then we didn't have a dubstep mix out of it. We just played this song and then probably went into something else. Started playing.
Yeah, it's the kind of song like what we wanted to achieve was the feeling that, you know, you're at a 50,000 person concert and Pink Floyd go into one of their longer songs and everyone's like, yeah. We wanted to achieve that in a 500 person drum and bass club
that probably had about 150 people in it.
And no one gave a fuck who we were, and no one had heard the song before. No one even knew that we were going to play a dubstep song. This was in Melbourne, so probably maybe 30 people in the actual club knew who we were. Like, talk about expectations.
Yeah, oh man.
Not meeting the reality.
Also, this song for me is that Pink Floyd song. I can't remember the name of it. It's off.
The MASH?
No.
Little known fact, Pink Floyd wrote the MASH theme song.
No, they didn't. That's that song. Suicide is painless. No, the Pink Floyd song in my mind that this is based on in some weird way is I can hear it, but I don't know the name of it. And
sing it. Sing it.
Have you ever fuck. It's got like sick Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and it's got like sick delayed guitars at the start and what sound like
Comfortably Numb?
Is it Comfortably Numb? I'm so bad at song names. Maybe it is.
I've become comfortably numb.
I've got to. Do you know what? I'm gonna. But maybe we're just conflating Pink Floyd songs. I'm just gonna quickly listen and.
Yeah, it is. It is Comfortably Numb.
But listened. Does it start with delayed guitars and? I don't know. But you're doing a great job of singing it. Thank you. Yeah. So I think this is directly influenced by Pink Floyd.
Yeah. Specifically Comfortably Numb.
Yeah, I think it's. I thought it was a more obscure tune, but you're right. It's also very Nero, very space oriented, and very.
It's very 2012.
Yeah, totally. So this is a demo. And we haven't even listened to it. We're just going. We're just going purely off memory. So let's listen to it.
When we do these demos, we don't listen to them beforehand. We do this little preamble introduction thing, and then as you guys listen to it, we listen to it live, and then discuss how we feel about it. That's why sometimes we're excited or we respond to it in very visceral ways. Okay, let's jump in.
Let's dive in.
down at 19. Bravo 1. Bravo 1. Rocket 1201 alarm. Where go? Spring time. Where go? Altitude, velocity, light. And down. We're getting the picture on the TV. Down 2.5. And now step off the land now.
Wow. Well, we hope you were as moved by the song as we were.
That's fucking sick. That's a great... I honestly think that's a great song. Yet again, another demo that we play that I think is actually pretty strong. That's... Yeah, I think some solid songwriting from us in 2012.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Like listening to it, I'm like, this is a pretty cool song. Like arrangement wise, it's entirely too long, and I wish the guitar was more up front. But I think that's just like the way we're trying to. Probably went purely for loudness and pushed everything a bit too much and didn't bring the guitar too much front. It
But
should
that's
be
like a mix. That's a small mix issue. Like I wouldn't fault any kind of song writing or any of the instrumentation stuff. I think there's a lot of ideas in there, but that's what kind of song it is. Like it would be difficult to translate that into a song that wasn't
6.5 minutes long.
Yeah, and I think I part of me is like that's just like it's a progressive kind
dubstep
of
song.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to make it a dubstep song, but like, I don't know, making it like a house tune or
That could be
something
cool.
might be interesting. And just have it like this. I don't know. I really like how everything progresses. Like my favorite part of the song is that those orchestral, those strings towards like the latter end of the song.
Man, the
When
fact
you're
that
doing the dun dun
Dun.
dun, the guitar's going, the strumming like dun dun dun.
all those
Dun,
that solo is basically written on a guitar, then transcribed onto a keyboard.
I still remember when I came home and you were like, I've got this like guitar solo thing, and you had 5 instances of silence. And they were like, you had automated them to go into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a nice bit of engineering.
It was definitely ambitious for the time. And you can hear, I reckon you can hear songs we've written since in it. Like that's Let the Light In is such a direct influence from that. Even something like Burgle has some feels.
Yeah.
Some of the instrumentation and stuff like that. Yeah.
Good kick and snare as well.
Yeah. Probably who knows where they're from. But yeah, maybe I'll dig up the project file and send it over to you and you can see what you can do with it. I mean, it would almost be worth opening up and seeing what's still live and things like that. It's no, I was just gonna say it's a fun song that even exists. I'd forgotten about it until the other week.
I think I'm just thinking about in the recent Subfocus tutorial where he talks about solar system, and it's pretty cool. I don't know if you've watched the introduction video too, but he talks. It was a
cue from a soundtrack, wasn't it?
No, the intro was I think he pitched for a song on the Blade Runner 2049 album. Or like he pitched for like something to do with the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it wasn't at drum and bass speed, and then one of his friends heard it and he was like, you should make this a drum and bass song. So he transposed it into a drum and bass song. So, maybe we could take a leaf out of Nick's book and see if we can transpose that from dubstep to drum and bass. It's also quite hard to like see the song for anything but what it is right now.
Yeah, I could see it being a kind of a housey tune, but then again, it would feel tighter because the drums would be more often. Like the dubstep lends itself to that. Like it's true, probably 140 dubstep as well. It's not even like one more modern 150 stuff. It feels like a rock opera anthem. Like it's the first song of the second part of a set as the whole stage is revealed and an orchestra is there. And you come pirouetting from the ceiling in a one of those spinning, what are they called? Use your words.
Hydroplane?
Sure. You're in a hovercraft that floats down from the top.
This would have been around the same time that we talked about our live. Okay, so do you remember discussing?
I feel like every podcast is going to end with some sort of ridiculous conversation, like last week's ended with the Boo Earns conversation, and then you talking about steaming and studios. But go on, I like it.
So do you remember talking about what our live show would look like?
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously we weren't interested in doing and it was semi-joking, but I think it kind of part of it was serious because we're probably a bit more into performance, and I'm definitely enjoy acting and that kind of stage, like theatrical stuff. So like our idea for a live show was me with a giant pipe organ at the back of the stage, and then Jeff in one of those
A gyroscope. It's called a gyroscope.
a giant gyroscope where, like, you know, you look like the
Vitruvian Man.
Vitruvian Man, but you're controlling synth and light through how you move around in 3D space, plus with buttons. I've got one of those like really tall capes that's got
With
a
a
massive neck with
a giant
massive collar. Maybe even extensions on my arms, so I look like a giant kind of spider playing the pipe organ.
And there's a full orchestra beneath us in the pit.
And then we were playing the live music that we were making at the time, which would have been like, you know, Alone Without You, melodic music that really lent itself to that kind of fanfare. But I know that this tune would have we would have been thinking about that kind of cinematic fucking experience.
It's cinematic. It's cinematic. It's like it's a big statement tune. And
We could probably turn off the drums and turn it into a soundtrack tune.
Probably could. Yeah. It's definitely got some of that vibe. I just love the arrogance of the or no, maybe not the arrogance. It's like the scope of using the Apollo samples. Let there be light. And we're like, that's the title of the song.
That was inspired by the use of those samples was definitely inspired by Carl using it in what's that leady tune? The
following? Follow? No. The calling. Yeah.
And obviously the Chemist using it in Let There Be Light.
Yeah. It's definitely
Big tunes.
it's a thing that has a lot attached to it. Yeah, I could see that piece of music soundtracking some sort of rocket launch or something in the future. Yeah, I think that was a good one. If you enjoyed that, feel free to get in touch. If you didn't enjoy it, feel free to get in touch.
And if you've got any ideas of what we should do with it or what we can do with it, hit us up. Message us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or email us. Ekko and Sidetrack podcast. Is that what it is?
gmail.com. Yeah.
Ekko and Sidetrack podcast at gmail.com.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to head off.
Okay, I'm just going to stay here for a bit and wax lyrical.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll just watch. Actually, Jonathan, I just got a notification. We got a pretty important email from a pretty important someone, so I think we should go have a look at that.
Okay, let's read that email.
It's exciting. There's some big things on the horizon for us. All right, buddy. I love you.
Love you too, buddy. I'll see you later.
See you, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Ekko Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.